For fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 23 coins, make sure you guys go check out my sponsor AOEAH.com. Use code VENOM at checkout for 3% off your order. Yo, what's good guys, Venomfire here, back on the video, and today we're going to be hopping into another Madden 23 defensive play scheme. This one's going to be another one that's a blitz, but I'm also going to show some coverage out of it. You guys liked the last one I did out of the nickel normal. And this one's going to be out of dollar formation that we haven't been in yet. I've had a couple of people request that we run it, so we're going to show some stuff out of here. Now, there are some good man blitzes that you can run out of dollar. I like to go to zone coverage, and we're going to run the DB Fire 2 in the middle there. But yeah, we're going to be in the Kansas City Chiefs defensive playbook for today's video. It has nickel normal, nickel 3-3. So just a lot of the meta formations. It also has this dollar. A lot of these dollar concepts also work out a big dime. So if you're in Tampa playbook, you have big dime. It's pretty much going to be the same thing. So yeah, personnel wise, what you can do is I actually need to get rid of our best corner in the slot here because we do not want that. So of course, get your faster corners here in the slot if you're at all able to. And then here you can definitely get some good safeties. I'm going to leave Devondre because he's a good overall, but other than that, I would get my user a safety Cam Chancellor-esque player. Also, before we get into the video, make sure you guys drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below for more Madden 23 videos. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So for your setup, you see you have a cover 2 look. We'll also talk about zone drops, but probably what I should have done is set my auto alignment to base and auto flip off or on. I guess it doesn't really matter for a symmetrical formation, but what I like to do generally is actually baseline and press. Just as my first two things. Certain formations it'll be better against rather than worse. I like baselining against a lot of things, so usually I'm baselined, especially with my defense. I just want everything to look the same for the every single play. I don't want the blitz to look different than my coverage defense. So when you're base aligned, every play is going to look the same. Now, of course, cover 3s will have a different look with how the safeties are aligned, but for the most part, things will be the same. Now, just for the base look at how the blitz is going to get through, all you have to do is really stand here, hover, and you're going to hold this guy's attention, and your slot corner is going to get free. Really pretty easy, simple setup right there. Again, just baseline press. And then all you have to do is really hover here, snap the ball, hold his attention, and I don't even know if I need to hold his attention, but in this scenario, you see Rashawn Gary on that right side gets a shed, or a disengage rather, and we still get the pressure. So really simple. Let's actually show it without hovering, see if it works, and it still does work. And this time we actually get pressure from both sides. So you see that you don't even really need to hover. I was just doing that to guarantee that it works, but I guess it doesn't really matter. And again, in this case, you notice that we get the slot corner on the right. Now against bunch, there's a lot of commotion going on, so a lot of moving him off his blitz, which is why it takes just a little bit longer than the left side. And Baker also kind of drops to the left side a little bit more, but you see how both defensive ends do their job. They both get outside leverage and engage with the tackles, and this allows us to get both guys free. And you see almost in the time that we get those guys free, our DNs is getting another shed as well. Alright, so hopping into the rest, what we're going to go ahead and do is see if we actually have some other formations. I think there might be there's not a tight, but there's a tight slots, which is still a very good formation. We'll show it against something like this, and let's just get McCaffrey out of the way so you can see it, because again, a lot of people are running tight these days, so you get a better understanding of what it would look like against different formations. So here we'll just kind of hover a little bit. Again, I like to hover just to guarantee it works. In this case, it does work, even though you see that the left tackle wasn't pushed really that far outside at all. He was just blocking normally, so that almost allowed the left guard to get the better positioning, but it still did get through, which is all you can really ask. On the right side, we still get the pressure as well, though it does take a bad angle. It's a weird angle that he takes, but he's just straight rushing, and because we get such a weird almost contain animation, even though we're not contained, he gets pushed off, but he eventually would get there, so you can't be mad at that. Now let's show it with a halfback in protection. This would, of course, change the blitz. And trust me, we'll get into some of the other coverage stuff a little bit later, but they block their halfback. You see it would work, but this again, the slot corner gets bumped off his angle, and you can't really do a whole lot in that case because you see, take a look at the blitzing angles. It's just a straight rush. It's not the fact that he is, it's not the fact that Rashawn Gary's on like a slant to the right. So let's actually try either slanting to the left. Something like, I might try something like this. See if he still engages. This could, of course, affect the left side as well. So, you know, you generally want to be careful with those. So, again, we'll block CMC. And here you see, again, when you slant to the left, he's just going to straight up engage with the left guard. It gives you no chance. So, you just got to play your cards. But, again, it's not the best blitz in the game, but it is decent. And I like it to be versatile in coverage, which is what we're going to hop into next. So, going over some coverage things that I like, I'm going to go back to the tight for this. Because again, a lot of people are running tight, not as many people are running bunch, although bunch is still used by a lot of pros. I don't know why some people are in my comments saying bunch is dead when some of the best players in the world run bunch still. So that's kind of comedic. But ideally, you have in bunch, what do you have? You have two guys that can really, or in this tight formation, you have two guys that can really hurt you. Now, we have two guys that are free for adjustments if we're not running the blitz, and that's going to be your Y or triangle and your RB or R1. It's your slot corners. Then you also have another linebacker that you can get rid of as well. Now, you can throw these guys on little double flats. You can go curl flat, something like that. That's my stupid controller dies, of course. That's just fantastic. Sorry, I actually lost my train of thought. I don't even remember what I was talking about, but yeah, I think I said you could put them in a curl flat, you could double flat. I'm not the biggest fan of double flatting this year, but if you wanted to, this would be good against a setup like bench. You set your flats to about 5, you set your curl flats to about 25 or even 30, and that would stop one of the better plays bench that people love to go to. People love these corner routes, so if you want to throw maybe even just a curl flat on one side, and then maybe you are able to man up this guy. You do things like this. That would be really good against bench. I'm actually going to hop into some of the tight setups, but you also want to be careful with some of the other things. But here you see there would be someone open. It's going to be A. So that is maybe why you be a little bit careful with your cover 2, because your cover 2 can be risky, and that's why it's important to recognize who you are manning up. So I'll show that kind of look again. I think it was in 4 verticals. So in this 4 verticals play, and this isn't just for something like a 4 verticals, but this is a setup that I like to go to against, you know, a lot of different formations. My philosophy has always been man up these slot guys. The slot guys are the most important in the game. You know, they've kind of always been, as I man up the wrong guy, which maybe was the problem, but the slot guys are always the most important. A lot of that usually is the running back and the tight end. The running back's definitely not as good as it was last year, so I don't think we have to worry about him as much, but we still want to keep an eye on him with our user, of course. And then you have a couple of other things. You have your vert hook. So what your vert hook can do, you can honestly also man up the running back if you'd like. Just man up everybody. Or you can just leave him in a vert hook, or you can put one in the middle third. So that's a good way to mix things up. We kind of take a look at X, and then you see RB does get open as we get a weird click on. But you see RB is open. You could really fit that in, but we have a zone right there. So everything's really just defended decently well regardless. So we have our soft squat here. And with the soft squat, you can make it a cloud flat. You can make it a hard flat. You can set your zone drops to whatever you'd like for this defense. Base recommendations, I would probably go 10 to 15, especially if you're setting that blitz because you don't need it at 20. You don't want to allow them to throw a quick check down, so I think 10 would be honestly decent. And then these wheel routes, they're going to be caged by our man coverage, so we don't worry about that as much. This not really open to throw. Maybe a really good player fits that in, but his only read is going to be this out route with McCaffrey. He throws it. It's maybe like a 6-yard gain, so it is positive yardage, but of course, there is going to be something open now. But you know, another thing you can do is also just blitz the extra guy. So if we wanted to just blitz Devontae Campbell just to get 4 blitzing, I would be, content doing that as well. So in this case, if it's bunch, I'm maybe manning up the slot run, player and the tight end, or the slot wide receiver and the tight end. And again, I still want to kind of hover here just to bluff the blitz. So if I'm on offense, I'm probably thinking, oh, okay, he's rushing me. He's not. And then you have, a lot of this stuff defended very well. The only thing open would be the tight end wheel. And by the time that happened, we got the pressure. So again, rushing 4 definitely makes a difference in getting some of those edge guys the one-on-ones rather than maybe one getting double teamed and something like that. So that's why you send the extra linebacker, even though it's not like he's going to do anything really to get the pressure. But I mean, yeah, you see the coverage really defended well. As far as this tight slots, I'm going to go back to the audibles and see if there's like a corner route in it. I think there might be a flood play. Let's actually take a look together. So tight slots, we have flood and we have a couple of plays like bench. Now bench is usually the bench usually you see is with the outside or the inside receivers. We have this outside one, which I guess we'll have to suffice. And then let's run like a flood. So there is none with the inside receivers, which is kind of odd. You thought there would be one, but we have the flood play. All right, so let's actually go to the bench play first. Now again with bench, out of tight and out of tight offset, what you see out of bench is usually with the slot players. So it would depend formation to formation. You can pretend that we're manning up the slot players, but in this case, you're going to man up our outside receivers. So it's going to be the slot corners manned up on these outside guys. And also pay attention that the icons changed, because you saw previously it was R1 that was on the right slot corner. Now it is the A button. So again, pay attention to something like that. But if it's bench, we have a couple of things that we can do. We have some extra guys. I would probably just leave the vert hook, because if he's running bench every single play, there's not any threat of him, beating us deep in the middle of the field specifically. So you can kind of sit there and chill. And again, you see X, it can get open, but you have the safety help. You have an extra man coverage, so he's forced to, put it on a string outside. And it's just a difficult throw to make. If you have good corners, it should cause it a lot of trouble. Again, you can't necessarily jam it in this game. If you want to press normally for this one, it's not going to probably work even as well. Usually when you man up A on B, he's going to move in that spot anyway. And when you man up L1 on X, they move in front of him. But you notice that, again, since it's tight, these guys don't really get pressed. DJ Moore is a better receiver, so he gets a free release. But there you see what a problem could be. It's going to be Y. So that is a situation where if he's really just killing you with corner outs, it's honestly better if you're getting inconsistent rates with the man coverage to double flat. And we'll go back and change our zone drops to see if it will truly defend it. Now I'm just going to go super aggressive off the bat. So we can actually go either flat steep or curl flats short. I'll just set our flats up to 30 and curl flats at 5 to create kind of a hard flat look. And we'll come out and flood again. So again, our flats are deep, so we want to be base aligned. And then we're just going to put both slot corners in curl flats. If we wanted, we could also, let's say our linebacker is worse, we can just throw him in the curl flat, something like this. And then with A, we can still have the potential to man him up on someone if we'd like. So if we still want to man him up on B or the tight end, you could do that, of course. And let's take a look at our player try to get open here. And now he still does get open, which is weird with the flat. And that might be because he's pressed, so maybe we'll try not pressing. Or maybe just individually pressing these corners. Or we can just manually back off some of these corners. If you don't know how to do that, it's Y, A, X, and then up on the left stick, and then Y, A, B up on the left stick. So let's straight over the top, because I'm not sure if maybe soft squats change the way that they play. Again, you always want to be safe. Again, another setup you can just run basically is just the inside third. So let's see if these flats will do their job now. And again, you see he still gets over there, but you have enough time to make the pick. And by the time you throw it to the sideline, there should be a deep half there able to make the play. So I feel like that's all you can really do. The man coverage would, be a little bit worse regardless. So overall, I think that's a good way to run your coverage. And again, you want to mix up what you're doing. So you can mix up by putting the slot corner in a 30-yard curl flat, but you notice how when they're pressed, they just don't get there as fast. Again, you can't go any deeper than that. So you got to do what you got to do. Back these guys off. And then, do whatever you want. And then if you still want to blitz someone, you still can blitz this corner off the edge. And he still potentially can get pressure if you just rush 4. So the same case scenario for the left guy. That's not something I mentioned, I realized just now, but you can get pressure just by doing that, which is cool because I can still run a really good coverage defense, especially if I'm just doing this. I can still double flat, and then I can still hover here, send the heat, and we can still get pressure. So that is a really good way to run the blitz. I'll show one last setup against bench, which is going to be kind of the same thing we've done anyway. Again, bench, out of this bench, it's the outside wide receivers running it, and we'll show the same thing. So we'll baseline press, manually move back both of those corners. We'll put them in cloud flats, and then let's curl flat you. We'll curl flat the linebacker. So here's our setup. And again, I'm going to block the halfback here some extra time, and you notice that the blitz still isn't blocked. We blocked 6 that time, rush 4, we still got pressure. So just sending edge pressure creates weird blocking animations, weird collisions. So, I mean, future reference, you notice how just nice that is. So, yeah, overall, it's going to be a good video. If you guys enjoyed, drop a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.